Hi, this is Wyatt Hammond, producer of the Industrial Real Estate Podcast. Today's guest has spent over 20 years earning a reputation in industrial real estate, and he joins Chad to talk through how to actually market yourself and stand out in a crowded field. This one builds as it goes, so stick with it. The strongest part and real results behind it come later in the episode.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Industrial Real Estate Show. I'm very pleased. And when I can't state that enough, I've been trying to get Sean on the show for years now, and he finally agreed. I'm super excited. Sean Ward, CBRE. Sean, thanks so much for finally joining me on the show.
Yeah, buddy. You're welcome. Good to be here. Thank you.
My pleasure is all mine. What people might not know, and I'm not in my office right now, but what people might not know is I actually have a picture of yours that's hanging in my office. It's a picture of a warehouse that you took. I think it was the largest deal in Orange County at the time, but it's an incredible picture. And Wyatt, the producer here, I'll send you that picture when I'm back at the office. You can overlay it on this video. It is an incredible picture, but it's in my office, so I see it every day. I reached out to you when you posted, and I just asked, hey, how could I buy a copy of this? And you were kind enough just to send me one. So I've had it framed. It's in my office. Tell me the story about that real quick, because I think that this will tee up the rest of the conversation. Tell me the story of that picture.
Oh, that's funny. Well, yeah, thank you. I actually forgot about the photo, but we were both admirers and aficionados of a good concrete tilt-up building, right? So that was a project that we were building here in Orange County, and it was 1.5 million square foot development across 4 buildings. We had a tour that was for 2 of the buildings. So the 2 buildings in the middle totaled 1 million square feet. We had a tour set up that day. The tour was getting bumped around. I actually wasn't feeling that good, and I kind of recused myself from the tour. Kind of forgot that this tour was going on, but I was out in the market, like, just, when you're not feeling 100%, but you're still going to work. So you're out in the market and driving around. And I had my camera with me, and I love photography. It's like, it's a hobby and passion. And I went in and I was all into like taking photos of this project while it was being built. And I went in there and I forgot that tour was going to be there at that moment. But that tour was happening on one side of the building, and I might have been in like jeans and a t-shirt on the other side with my camera and snapped that photo. Well, that was the first tour of what ended up being a very large lease. It was 1 million square foot lease valued at $300 million, largest lease ever in Orange County. And I just love, like, it ended up being a cool photo, which is not a given anytime you're out, taking photos. Ended up being a cool photo, and it like captured the first moment that those 2 parties came together. So I got one printed and have it on my desk right here. Actually, I printed another one, framed it with a little inscription, and gave it to the client after the deal was done. It was a nice little thing to do. And so you have the 3rd copy. There's 3 copies of them out there.
One of these days, when we meet in person, I'm going to bring it, and I want to get it signed, because I've had people comment on it. I'm a photographer as well, and being an industrial real estate nerd, we're a small group of people that are super nerdy about it.
That's quite a niche that
it is. There's not a very big group. And then if you add in the photographer element of it as well, we might be able to fill a small room of all of us in the world.
Yeah, exactly.
But it is an awesome picture. So thank you for that. First thing I wanted to do was just thank you for that picture, because it really is prominent in my office.
Awesome.
What's your background? I know you've been in industrial real estate have you always been at CB? Is that where you started? And
no, I started right out of school. So like I posted about this a bunch. I didn't know what I wanted to do in college. I wanted to make money. That was kind of my only driving force. I thought I had to either be a doctor or a lawyer, and I was probably not smart enough to be a doctor. So I'm like, I could probably be a lawyer. So I was on that track, double major, UCLA, straight A's, getting ready to go to law school. But I was just so burnt out on school at that point. And it was probably a month before I graduated, a couple of weeks before I graduated. Somebody I knew on campus had previously graduated the quarter previous and was working in commercial real estate. And they're like, yeah, it's awesome. You can make a lot of money in it. And up until that point, so this is, maybe a month before I graduated, I had never even considered commercial real estate as a thing. Never thought about it. I didn't intern, I didn't do any of that stuff. It was just like this guy, I probably haven't seen this person in 20 something years and may never again, but he changed the course of my life by saying, commercial real estate, you can make a lot of money. And he was cold calling for Marcus and Milich at the time. And so I finished school. I had finals all through Friday of that week. And I graduated Saturday. And on Sunday, I moved down to Orange County. And Monday morning, I was sitting at a small tenant rep company in Orange County making 100 phone calls a day. Didn't know anything about it. I was there for 5 months and made 10,000 calls and didn't know anything about real estate, but I learned how to pick up the phone. And I was fortunate enough to get into CBRE after that. And that's where I've been for 23 years.
Wow, that's crazy. I didn't know that you started at a small boutique shop. You cut your teeth pretty quickly by making 10,000 calls because you learn what people are looking for. You learn a lot about human nature as well. You learn what people are going to say. You're going to learn what questions they're going to ask, weird tendencies that people have. Making 10,000 calls shapes you as a person and going through it and then getting through on the other side. 10,000 calls is nothing to sneeze at. Are you still cold calling today?
I'm not. I'm really not. I do enjoy it. I face internal resistance towards it like anybody. But I do enjoy it once I get rolling. I shouldn't say I'm not. I'm like, yeah, I mean, from my standards, I'm not. Yesterday, I made like 4. So it's not really much. And they're more just follow-ups at this point. I'm in this really fortunate position where we happen to have a lot of business right now. So I'm doing marketing for that, for listings, but like pure business development to pick up the phone and try and find a new piece of business. I have this tension of like, I can barely do what's on my plate. So it seems a little strange to go and try and keep filling the plate. You know, I should be wise to service the clients that have trusted me with their business. So I'm spending all my time doing that. So it's a great position to be in, but I'm a big believer in cold calls. Like I would never say, you get to a point where you stop cold calling and you don't need them anymore. In fact, a year ago, my pipeline was dead. And I was just, all right. I felt like I was starting over, and it was just, I sat down with my manager. I was coming out of a tough personal season, years of tough issues, which we won't go into, but I was like just getting out of that. And I sat down with my manager. I'm like, I feel like I'm starting over. I'm starting brand new. And we talked through it. And the solution was, just get back to basics. Just pick up the phone. And 1 year later, I'm working on the biggest deals I've ever worked on when my pipeline was completely dead a year ago. So it's amazing how quickly it could change.
Well, congrats on that as well. The one thing that I really wanted to explore with you, and I think that you're the bona fide expert in talking on this, is the dichotomy between online marketing, business development, and that old school methodology of trying to get business, the door knocking, the cold calling, the old school way of doing it versus new school, which a lot of people are trying to get into. I think the residential market led the industry in this in terms of having that online presence with the goal of having inbound business coming your way. Still business development, it's just modern. And I started in 2004 when we were still using fax machines, and you were even before that, where it was really old school. Now fast forward and all this technology. You and I are having a podcast on different parts of the continent, even though this is completely live, and then we could reach countless people with this afterwards. This didn't exist that long ago. So I've found that especially newer brokers are using it as a crutch of saying, I don't need to do the cold calling. I don't need to do the door knocking. I don't need to do that type of prospecting when I have this technology in my laptop. With your experience having done both, and even going back to last year with cold calling to get your business going, where have you found opportunities or perhaps misinformation when it comes to using technology versus those old school methods?
Yeah, I get asked this a lot, like, hey, for younger folks that are starting in commercial real estate, like, hey, should I be doing cold calls or should I just be doing like social media? Right? That's kind of like the tension, right? And essentially what you're stating, like, which is it? And it's like, it's both, man. Like, it's both. You're not doing one or the other. You're just going to do both. And when I started on LinkedIn, and the caveat to this is like, I'm pretty much anti-social media in general, just as like a philosophy and a way of living life. Like, I don't have Instagram or TikTok and Facebook. I don't have that. Like, I just have social media for business purposes. So like one part of my brain is like, social media rots your soul, right? The other part is you can't deny it's here and it's capturing attention. And so you better learn how to capture attention and then harness that to the benefit of your clients. So I started on LinkedIn with the only goal I had was to make cold calls, warm calls. That was it. Figured I'm calling people anyway. Some of them are on LinkedIn. If I can connect with them and then very casual way, just be authentic and show them who I am, then when they get a phone call from me, maybe a better likelihood that they pick up and talk to me. And so I think that's probably the right way to think of it. I think of LinkedIn and social media in general for business as branding, right? It's a place to show up and like make yourself known. And we talked about this, like you only do business with people that you know, like, and trust. They have to know you, they have to like you, and they have to trust you. And it's amazing. You could get pretty far with all three of those just on LinkedIn by being consistent and doing that. Certainly, I mean, when we first logged on today, that's probably the first time we've talked live. And you're like, I feel like I know you. And it's like, yeah, same. Feel like I know you. And that's just because of social media. So if you're going to try and get clients, I think it's pretty wise to get in front of them and be known. There's no amount of cold calls you can make that will replace a few years of a prospect seeing, a couple hundred of your posts and having a general sense of who you are. But like, don't you dare think like that's the only thing you need to do. I mean, sales is still sales. Like you still have to go out and add value to people in a specific way and go hunt people down. And you got to do that by knocking on doors. You got to do that by picking up the phone. Let's put it this way. If my income was completely dependent on social media maybe would be like 10% of where my income comes from. Maybe 15 at this point, maybe 20 at this point. But I would have not have lasted 20 years doing this. And still today, the majority comes from outbound specific sales attempts.
I had that question that I wanted to ask, and I was hoping you'd answer it along those lines, but you said it way more eloquently than I even envisioned. Because I couldn't agree more with everything you said there. And I get asked that a lot as well. The one thing that I get asked all the time is, what's your return on investment on social media and the time that you put in there? And it's impossible to quantify. And if someone's looking solely as a return on investment, I would say just don't do it, because it's not going to be a return on investment. You're not going to have a metric that makes sense on it. But for everything that you said and brand building and having people get to know you, I'm sure you get this all the time as well, as people just really do feel that they know you. Like I've had the fortune of meeting people that they're like, yeah, I've watched 20 of your episodes and I feel I have a connection like that. That's very hard to replace. So I do think that is the value on it. And kind of on the point you made as well, it's like playing football or playing hockey. Canada, I got to put hockey in there.
Yeah, of course.
Are you going to have one player on the field or on the ice, or are you going to put a whole team on the ice? Like I think all you want to do is you want to have the best player on every position that you can on the ice or on the field, and work cohesively as a team. And you're not going to win a football game by just having a quarterback or just having a running back or an offensive line. Like, you need to have the whole team out there. And I think that's how social media works, is it's one player on the team, and it's not replacing anybody. It's just complementing the other people on there. So thanks for explaining as you did. I think that there's tremendous value that people can get from how you stated 23-year career. It's helping now in this stage of your career, but you wouldn't have had the career that you did without it.
I mean, and you said it perfectly. Like, if you're looking for an ROI, just don't bother. That you can't. I always say I couldn't draw connected lines to deals from LinkedIn posts. It's not like a podcast episode or a LinkedIn post. I say, yeah, that's the one that got me so and so deal. But I can tell you, like, at this point, most of my business is inbound referral business, and I would say vast majority of that is within my company. I work at CBRE. There's 65,000 current active employees at CBRE that are on LinkedIn. that have LinkedIn accounts. Like if all I did was show up with the intent of being known to that group and be like, hi, I'm Sean Ward. I work at SoCal Industrial. If that's the only thing I did, it would be a huge return on my investment, a huge like benefit to my career. It's hard to draw straight lines to like, the whole body of work that goes into social media. But like, I'm just such a big believer in doing it for a whole bunch of different reasons. Like I show up on LinkedIn and I post and I get instant feedback from the audience out there. Some posts bomb and some posts do well. And you know what? Now almost like the vast majority of my posts do well. In the beginning, they all bombed. Why is that? The only reason that is because I got better at capturing attention. I learned how to put things that have hooks in it. You have a huge YouTube following. Your videos now get a lot more views because they're better videos, I would bet you, than when you started. Like you just became better at the craft. And as a salesperson, like we're in the craft of capturing attention. And LinkedIn is beautiful because it gives you that instant feedback. And you know what? It's consistency. It's another thing. That's a direct line to making you a better salesperson. Show up every day and do an uncomfortable thing. It's awkward to post on LinkedIn, especially if you're going to post personal content on LinkedIn. It's not awkward to say, here's my new listing, or I'm thrilled to announce this closing. That's not awkward, but that's also boring. Nobody cares. Like you got to do a little bit of that, but that's not the stuff that resonates with people. It's the riskier stuff. I tell stories of like, I cried, when this happened. It's like, it's on the one hand, it's super awkward and cringy. On the other hand, I've forced myself to do it to where I'm okay with doing it. And a lot of other people, I get people all the time that I've run into that are ribbing me about LinkedIn. Like, man, you post some really personal stuff. And it's like, I do. Yeah. And you should too. So I'm just a big believer in it, as you know. So it's been a benefit to both of our careers.
I've been on LinkedIn, I think since 2009. I've been on it for a long time and I'm connected with people across all types of different industries. I can say emphatically that you are the best that I've seen in the entire time on LinkedIn at actually understanding it and utilizing it as a tool. Like like a huge compliment I'd give you on that is that it is vulnerable. There is an element of personality. Like I'm sure that you get this all the time is that people just feel that they know you. They know your goals. They know your background. They know your family. They know what you're trying to accomplish with your career and your family. Like you've blended a perfect combination of work and personality. Was that a strategy? Was that take me back to, because I think that there's value here for people that are on the fence about LinkedIn. Maybe they have an account, maybe they've posted and had one like, and they're like, this sucks. I'm not going to do this anymore. So I'd really like to take this from the lens of someone that is on the fence on LinkedIn and and having some encouragement for them to really to go and benefit from this. What was the impetus for this? What got you onto LinkedIn? And then what was the journey? I know you had some that bombed as you mentioned. What was the journey from saying, I want to get on LinkedIn, I suck at it, I can get better at this, now I'm the GOAT at it? What was that journey? And that's me putting those words in, and I'm calling you the GOAT of LinkedIn.
Oh, that's a bit too much, but thank you. Yeah, and this actually, I am somewhat passionate about this. This is important. Like actually strip it down to the base mindset and the reason like why you should do it. And I think this is important for salespeople, and let's just say young salespeople or people on the fence of whether or not they should do something like LinkedIn. You need to get your mind around why you should do it. And I'm a believer that you should do it. And the idea is, I have tied my ability to feed my family as a full commission salesperson. I've tied my ability to do that with being known and being top of mind with people and putting myself out there. And as a hardcore introvert who thinks social media is generally bad for you, who just absolutely cringes at the thought of doing things like selfie videos, I hate all that stuff. It's not me. I don't want the spotlight. If I never needed to make another dollar, I probably would stop posting on LinkedIn. I don't do it because I'm trying to be an influencer. I don't do it because I just naturally as a person, I don't care about that stuff. In fact, it's a negative in my life. I'd rather not do it. It's uncomfortable. But you have to get your head around, like, we are in a different world today. We're in a world where you can utilize technology to leverage your output, leverage your activity. And so you could pick up the phone and call one person and you get one person on the other end of the line. It's a one-to-one non-leveraged activity. You can send an email. You could write one email and send it to 10,000 people. That's a pretty leveraged activity. I can make one post and 1,000 people will see it. And then that afternoon, I'll do another post and 1,000 people will see it. And the next day, 100,000 people will see it. And all of a sudden, for me spending 15, 20 minutes a day on something, I'm getting 10 to 15 million views a year on it. Now, again, I don't care about the numbers. I care about feeding my family. Like, that's what I'm in it for. And like, I'm just convinced learning how to capture attention, being known, being top of mind, being perceived as an expert in what you do, that is all really important to my full commission sales career. And if you are still on the fence and you can't grasp like if it's worth doing, I would just say, go watch a bunch of Gary V videos until you figure it out. Because nobody makes this case better than him. And he's the true GOAT of all this stuff. And he studies where culture is going. And, he was way ahead of social media, and he would say social media is dead at this point. It's all interest media. He calls it the TikTokification of social media. It's no longer, social media used to be who's in your social network and they will see what you post. Okay, I've got 100 friends on Facebook and I post something, my 100 friends will see it. Well, it's not that way anymore ever since TikTok came on the scene. That it's now, if I do a post on concrete tilt-ups, anybody who the algorithm thinks has an interest in concrete tilt-ups, whether they're in my network or not, is going to see that post. So the ability for someone to come in brand new, your first LinkedIn post or whatever platform you're on, and to make a really good post and have that go to a huge audience and get you business, it's never been more open to somebody like that. So, Gary would say, and I would echo, like, it's wide open right now. You're not too late. Start right now. Like, we're on the same playing field. Me and this person that's starting right now, we have the exact same reach. The only difference is I have 8 years of learning how to capture attention under my belt. So I do it better than you. And maybe you're gifted at it. And so you could just leapfrog, Chad and me and just get into a huge audience right away. So I think it's a perfect opportunity for somebody to start doing it.
As you were saying that, a key point resonated is using it as leverage. And I think that is a profound way to look at it. Is it only helps you with what you're already doing. It's not a tool in itself. You're not going to become an influencer. Commercial, especially industrial real estate, it's far too niche. You're not going to become an influencer where you've got 10 million followers and you're making all this money through social media. It's leverage. It's helping your existing business, but you still have to put in the work behind the scenes. And maybe a crude analogy on this, I had a friend that got into bodybuilding 20 years ago and he started doing a lot of steroids. And I was saying, I was like, that, I don't know, is that the best way to do it? Like, everyone's just going to know that you're just on steroids. And he's like, I still have to do all the work. He's like, the steroids is just going to take the effort that I'm already putting in and just make it better. He's like, I can't just take steroids and sit on the couch and eat potato chips. He's like, I probably have to work twice as hard. And that's a very loose analogy, but I think that's what social media is steroids. It's what are you already doing? And then social media can be the steroids to take you to the next level. And
totally,
I don't know if we get shut down on YouTube for saying that. Don't take steroids, literally, but figuratively, social media can be the steroids on that. So let's talk strategy. So your posts, and first of all, follow Sean on LinkedIn. We'll put all his LinkedIn in the show notes. Go and follow him. Even if you're not in the industry, you're just going to learn what you can do in your own industry to be better at this. But content strategy, what have you noticed works to catch attention, and on the same side, the other side of the coin on that, what doesn't work?
Yeah. I would say it doesn't work if you're strictly business. If you're just like forwarding a research article, if you're just talking stats, that doesn't work. What works is personal. And, people, your clients that you're trying to get, your prospects, people do business with people, right? So it's like, I would say, my clients hire me, and they're not necessarily hiring the company I work for, although that can help or hurt, but they're hiring the person. So you show up on a people think, let's deconstruct it. Think about like, when do you open LinkedIn? Like, do you open LinkedIn at 10 a.m. on a Monday because it's like something you have to do for business to check in? I would say probably not. I'd say most people probably open LinkedIn in their downtime, like, just getting home from work, or I need a break in the afternoon. You probably pull it open for that reason. So, like in that regard, people are showing up to either be entertained or educated, but it has to happen in a personal way. Like you're showing up to a social media platform as a break from normal life. So if you understand that, you just have to understand, like, people will resonate more with a very casual type of post. They'll resonate more with a quick story about anything. You talk about somebody who is just starting out or on the fence. Let's say you're year one broker, week one, and a runner, broker, you're out door knocking. Like, do a quick video. Like, someone just kicked you out of their building and that was mortifying. Do a 20-second video on it. It's summertime and you're door knocking and you sweat through your shirt. Like, do that. That's interesting. It's authentic. People will see like who you are. The reason I personally like LinkedIn is because I feel like it's not a fair fight or a level playing field, because I think most people approach LinkedIn as like, oh, that's the business platform, so I gotta do business stuff. Well, while 90% of people are doing business things, I could be the guy that's just I'm saying, no, I'm going to do more personal stuff. And therefore, I'm standing out way more in a sea of just sterile business content. Whereas like something like Twitter, I mean, nobody shows up to Twitter to post stats, and like people are just, and maybe fairly even unhinged. I had to get off of Twitter, but that's like the Wild West. Like if you show up on Twitter and do a 1-sentence quippy or personal post, it's like you and every other person are doing that. You're not really standing out. But you do that on LinkedIn and it's easier to capture that attention. So, strategy, 1, have to be authentic. 2, if it's a struggle for me to write the post, it will be a struggle for someone to read it. So I just usually scrap that. I am more the type where throughout my day, I've just now trained my brain where something kind of interesting captures my attention out in the world. I'll pull out my phone and just do a quick post on it. Write it out. I'll do one quick edit and then hit post. It's like a muscle. The more you do it, the easier it becomes. And then the last thing I'd say on strategy is, because the premise, again, the whole thesis of why we're doing this is to support our clients and our careers, right? It's to get business. Don't be ashamed of that. You can be upfront about that. But like Gary Vee I think he had a book. It was called like Jab, 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 Hook.
I think I have it actually.
Okay. Well, you're ahead of me. I haven't even read it. But the whole premise is like, add value, add value, add value. And again, remember on LinkedIn, value is something that is a quick education or something that's entertaining. If you make somebody laugh, that has nothing to do with business, make somebody laugh or tell a story that's universally true and just ridiculousness of getting frozen out of a Teams meeting or a Zoom meeting, like anything, you're adding value to the person who's watching it because they can resonate and they say, oh yeah, I get that. So those are your jabs. And then your hook is going to be, I just did a hook yesterday. Hey, I'm launching this new listing, right? Like, I hope you've appreciated all the posts I've done where I've tried to share, little bits of wisdom that I glean, or how to do well in sales, or how to whatever. I'm trying to add value. Lots of jabs. I'm probably like jab, 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 jab. Lots of jabs before I go for a hook. And then the hook is, hey, check out this listing I have. And again, I'm doing that for the benefit of my listing and for the client. And so I don't even mind asking, hey, can you guys, the only time I'll ask and the only time I really care, can you like this post? Can you comment on it? Maybe share it. That would help me out. And I think a lot of people do that because they realize, like, I'm not there. I don't show up to the platform to get a lot from me. I show up genuinely trying to serve and add value. And so people will like to reciprocate. So it works wonderfully. Gary is a genius and I love him for putting ideas like that out and teaching all of us the right way to do social media.
Yeah, Gary Vee is definitely not perfect because nobody is. He's made some mistakes that have almost villainized him over the years for certain things that he's done. Like the NFTs was one where he was really big on that and it collapsed. And I think he's gotten a bad rap from some people from that. And I don't think that's fair because I think 95% of what he puts out is incredibly unselfish value add content that people can learn from. And I'm a fan of Gary Vee as well. I recognize that some people really hate him for some of the things that he's done, but I just think that that's unfair. It's being in the public spotlight as he is. I think he puts out 300 pieces of content a day. You're going to have some misses, and I don't think it's fair to judge him on his misses when he's had so many hits. So I'm with you. I'm a fan of Gary Vee.
It's like hating a baseball player because they have a lot of strikeouts, but
Or
it's
Michael
like,
Jordan
they also
for all
led
the
the
shots
league. Yeah, they also led the league in home runs. So hate him all you want, but when you're out there trying new things, NFTs were a new thing. He's just trying them. So yeah, I get it.
But yeah, ultimately, I agree with you on everything you said there, and Gary Vee is very well worth checking out on that. I think one thing that's helpful for people to really anchor this and to put it into their own perspective is to just look at how you interact with other people that are prominent. I hate the word influencers as well because it implies the sense that we're trying to influence somebody to do something. And I don't think that's the case at all. I think we're just trying to share information and work on behalf of your clients and your business. So I think influencer is a terrible term, even if it is somebody like Mr. Beast with 500 million subscribers. I think it's a bad term. But if you do look at it, that there's people that I follow, golf, for example. There's a few people that I follow on YouTube that are in the golf niche, and I've watched so many of their videos, and they've given me so much help on different things that I try to do that I do support them. Like if they put out a merchandise line or they put out a product line, I'll buy something of theirs just to support the fact that they've given so much value. And I think a lot of people are like that. If you followed someone for a long time and you truly benefited from it, if they put something out, and in your case, you're not even asking for money. You're just saying, hey, if you could like this or put a comment or share this, that's such an easy ask when people have been following you for so long and they've invested in you emotionally that they feel they've got that connection. For you to have an ask like that, it's not even an ask where you're like, can you please do this? Almost like you're nagging them. It's like, hey, I'm sharing this. People are like enthusiastically, like that meme of all the people at the casino pushing all the people pushing the money. I think that's how people would look at it with yours, that you've just provided so much value that you put something out like that. They're like, but what are you selling me, Sean? Like, sell me something so I can buy it. They're probably saying that. So to do a free ask is pretty easy. I do want to get to that because that is an important point. I'm just curious on how that came to be on the Nashville project, but I still want to dive a little bit more into LinkedIn just to really turn over every rock on this, because I don't want anyone being like, we didn't dive into that deep enough.
Yeah.
Give me an example. Does one come to mind of a powerful story, a vulnerable story, something personal? Is there one that jumps out, or perhaps a few that jump out? Or maybe it's just a sentiment. If you don't have one in specific, that's fine too, but maybe just the overall tone that resonated more than the others, that had a powerful reach, that you had a lot of interaction with. Anything jump to mind?
As I've been doing, as you and I started in June of 2023. So you and I started pretty much at the same time. In my career, I just have learned that I enjoy doing deals so much more when the person on the other side of the deal, whether it's my client or, the broker on the other side, like if I just really enjoy that person, right? If it's like, I just like this person as a human, like it makes my work day so much better, right? So as I'm doing LinkedIn stuff, I end up connecting with a lot of like-minded people. Like not everybody will like anything that I put out or everything that I put out. Not everybody will like everything you put out or anybody else does. And those people will kind of fade away. And that's a huge benefit to your career and your life. But the people who really resonate with you, you will have a stronger bond with those people. And so to answer your question, I've done posts, I did a post maybe a year ago and I said, and it may have started by saying I've been struggling to write this post for over a year. And I remember the hook, right? I know I started with that. And that's a pretty good hook, right? If somebody sees that first 9 words, they're going to be like, okay, yeah, I'm interested. And then I think I was talking about, it could have been like midlife crisis stuff, or, I just went through this hellish 3.5 year period that involved like a fire and losing so much money and a lawsuit and health stuff and, just stress upon stress. It could have been that, or it could have been like a story of like, I can't keep cold calling. I can't keep finding more business. I can't keep running on this fearful survival fuel of I got to make another deal to survive. It's just worn me out. It could be those posts, but there's been posts like that where I go real vulnerable and open up, and I will get, 5, 10, 25 DMs from people that will say, man, I can't tell you how much I relate to that. And just personal stuff, right? Just about life being hard. And do I do business with those people? I don't think so. Maybe not. Maybe some of them, but like there's a relationship there. There's a connection, and those are the people I want to do life with. And I would say now, like, yeah, I'm starting to do business with some of these people. Again, it's not a direct line, but like the more you put your stuff out there in a vulnerable way, it's going to turn some people off and you're going to attract others, and you get to work with the people that you attract. And that's such a huge benefit. So the post that is harder, there's posts where I'm like, man, this is a tough one to put out there. Like, I know I should, but it's really tough. It's too vulnerable. I don't like being this vulnerable. Like, those are the ones that I usually have a good connection. People resonate with. And again, it's all on a personal level. It's not like somebody really resonated with it and said, will you please list my building for me? I love that post you did. Again, that's not the point. The point is like, man, I felt that thing you were saying. I've experienced it too. Or I've been at the end of my rope. Shoot, I'm at the end of my rope right now. Like for me, like what I want my life to be about, those are really valuable connection points.
It does two things with that approach. The first is that you are building meaningful connections. So if someone's reaching out to you and saying, I relate to that, and they're sending you a message, and they've taken the time to do that, knowing that most people on social media are going to be very selfish, not for a bad reason. They're there for themselves. They're not there to necessarily be helping out the whole world. They're there for selfish reasons. For them to take the time to actually reach out to you, you've now just created a little bit of a connection. And for sure, if you were to run into those people after they've watched your video or read your message and sent you something, if they see you in person, they're for sure going to talk to you. So you've inched that relationship forward. So I think from a personal approach, you're benefiting by just getting that interaction. The second thing that it does is from an algorithm, from a very cold, tactical approach, the algorithm loves that. If somebody is reading your post, liking it, sending you a DM, you're almost certainly going to have your next post show up on their screen because the algorithm's recognizing all those different points of contact. So you're amplifying your message. It's the steroids of social media that just because they took that extra effort to DM you, that's all factoring into that, to the LinkedIn or whoever is behind the platform saying, this was great content because it prompted someone to do it. So it's twofold on why that's so beneficial.
Yeah. And I would say too, like, always have the thing, like if there's one thing I want to connect with people on LinkedIn, if they think of Sean Ward, they think of SoCal Industrial, or if they think of Southern California Industrial Property, they think of my name, right? So I always try and connect that. On my videos, I have the little watermark that says that. Sometimes I post about it, even though, as we have already talked about, like not many people are showing up to read a post on the vacancy rate in Orange County. But like, I'm always trying to connect that. So then I do a post where I talk about how, my life fell apart and, I'm getting it back on track, and 20 people DM me saying, hey, I've gone through that too. And they know, if they know because they just keep seeing it from me, okay, that Sean Ward guy, yeah, SoCal Industrial, they have a general sense of what I do. Well, those people know people, right? It's not just the people that are in it, it's like they know other people. And so probably the most direct business I ever got off of LinkedIn was a broker on the other side of the country called me and he said, hey, you don't know me, but I follow your stuff. I love it. And I could tell right away, like, this guy was a dude. Like, we would be buddies if he lived in my neighborhood. And he's like, hey, I know this guy and he has a warehouse in your world and he needs a broker. And he called me and I said, you got to work with Sean. And it turned into a 100,000 square foot tenant rep deal. Now, had the client ever like seen my LinkedIn stuff? No. But like another broker did. In fact, not even a principal, a developer. I don't know. I don't remember. Like, you just never know. You put good things out there and you just never know how it comes back.
Yeah, well said. Have you ever had any negative comment, or you mentioned that you did, from people just being like, that was those interesting posts, but more from a corporate standpoint? Have you ever had your local office or CB corporate look at it poorly?
Yeah. I've had the president of a huge division of our company call me and basically say, what the hell are you doing? So those are not fun phone calls to get. Generally, the only times that happens if I use a company name specifically, whether it's a CBRE client or not. Like I've just trained myself. Like think of the Fortune 10, right? Whether or not they're even clients of our companies, I've learned I'm not saying their names. I went on your YouTube channel and you talked about, all those mega factories going up and all these companies doing it. And I'm like, yep, that's so interesting. And you won't hear me say their names coming out of my mouth. And I could be talking about nothing. I just say, hey, they're a great company. They're doing a lot in our market. Can't do that. So like those are the guardrails. Everybody is different. The company they work for, you could be an independent or you could work for like a Fortune 120, which CBRE is. I just know when I show up, I've got this I show up as a representative, not just of Sean Ward, but also of my company. So I have to keep that in mind. I have to be a good ambassador, not just for me. And so it is tough to kind of ride that line of be authentic and be personal, but also represent the company you work for well. I think generally, if I just stay away from naming specific companies and specific real estate happenings, I'll be pretty okay.
Yeah, they'll let you play in your sandbox as long as you're not disrupting theirs. If you're causing issues there, that's probably when that phone call comes.
And the phone call comes after they get somebody in some other part of the world. Usually it's like the client of the name I just said will call their CBRE contact and say, what the heck is this guy doing? Talking about, anything. And then that broker will call his manager, calls the president, who calls me and says, take that down immediately. So it's probably happened 3 times and those are not fun phone calls to get. So,
and it always involved another company that mentioned your company.
It always did.
Yeah.
Yep.
No issues with, you haven't had anyone call and be like, hey, you told a story about how you had to get your life back on track. And that's not reflective of what we want to have as a Fortune 120 company. Never had that.
Never once. In fact, I was talking to our director of corporate communications the other day, and she was saying, we love what you do with your social media. And I say, really? I'm always kind of waiting to get the call from you guys to tone it, like dial it back a little bit. And she's like, nope, we use you as an example of the right way to do it. I'm like, okay, great.
That's awesome. With the time remaining, I want to move to that post that you did yesterday. And a 180, I think, is fair to say, from what you normally post, and it's in line with a Gary V's jab hook, is that you've posted a ton of content specifically about lessons or things you've observed or vulnerabilities. This was a post on an industrial park in Nashville, a large development that you'll be spearheading. Tell me about that story. First of all, on the standpoint of it being in Nashville, which I'm curious about. That could probably be a whole episode in itself. But the project in Nashville, and then you alluded to it a little bit, but what you've received in terms of feedback and comments from people that have seen that post. So kind of a 2-part question there.
Yeah. So let's just start first with the LinkedIn perspective. I'm just pulling it open right now. So we listed a business park. Let me tee this up. A client of mine, more like a friend, honestly, a really good friend of mine for the last 10 years, works for a company and he was working on this project. I happen to work, I think Orange County is like the center of the universe for industrial real estate in the US. So many of the big national players like are headquartered here in Orange County, in Irvine. My office is in Irvine. So I happen to have like a lot of great, right at my fingertips, a lot of the people that I know and have worked with for decades are all right here. And they're doing stuff nationally. right? And I mostly work in Orange County. I work on behalf of tenants wherever they go. I've done deals in, I think, 8 countries and 30 something states. We go wherever the clients go. But if I'm going to list something, you better believe I'm listing it pretty in and around Orange County. But this time, a client of mine was working on 1,000 acres that they ended up buying just south of Nashville, and working on, entitlements and working with the city and infrastructure, groundwork, like all that stuff. And we're working on it for a few years, and they needed a different look on getting the property exposed to them. They were just expressing like, man, I wish we just had more eyeballs on this thing. And it kind of led into them saying, hey, we're gonna put this out to bid. We're gonna listen to pitches from some of the big shops. And I was just in a position to put the team together and put a strategy together. And we went and did the dog and pony pitch, and we won it. And yesterday we launched it, and we're doing first 600 acres and 6.5 million square feet that we were sketched out to build. And it's cool because it's a market mover for the area. Like it's a critical mass of space in a really fast growing population. It's on the interstate with frontage. It's got huge, power capabilities. Importantly, it has a commitment from the city for sewer capacity. So that's like a big deal out there. Like, because they're growing so fast, the infrastructure is trying to catch up. So cities have to limit commitments for sewer, but we have that in hand. That's a huge differentiator for the project. But yeah, so that's the type of thing where I would go on LinkedIn. I don't typically go and say, here's a listing we have, or I'm thrilled to announce that we got X, Y, and Z. But, the client is hiring us to get national exposure for this, because there's a good chance somebody or a few people in your Fortune 100 that need to put a, 500,000 square foot or 1 million or 2 million square feet in one spot, and we can accommodate that. So, but again, I just wanted to pull this up to see. So I do that post yesterday on LinkedIn, and again, with the jab hook, I had asked people the day before, like, hey, I'm going to post something tomorrow. Can you do me a favor? If you've enjoyed anything I've posted, like, can you not scroll past this one? Can you just like it and comment and whatever? I posted it yesterday. It's 27,000 views right now, which for a real estate only post, a new listing post, I could tell you that's unheard of.
Unheard of.
That's hard to do on that platform for that type of post. But more importantly, it surfaced about 6 different requirements, and some big names and some big requirements. So the client already is happy about that, and we're just getting going on the project. But yeah, I'm not leading the on the ground effort. So I would say, I've never had a listing outside my market, but I'm not going to pretend to be the Nashville guy. So yeah, I got a team of people there that know the market well. They're absolute killers, and I'm excited for them to be on the project. And I was just there to kind of pull it all together, and I'm the one throat to choke for the client. Like, as they work with our company in a lot of different capacities, they're working with our data center team, they're working with our Nashville industrial team, there was a retail team involved, there was a capital markets team involved, maybe project management at some point. As they work with all those people, it's hard to work with a bunch of different people. Well, they don't have to do that. They could just work with Sean, and Sean can harness the whole team and get them going. So that's the benefit to the client, and it helps that I'm 3 blocks away from their headquarters.
I think that just so neatly wraps a bow on this whole episode of the power of social media, is that it is unbelievable leverage if you use it correctly. And you just put 27,000 views on a listing in Nashville, which if a broker in Nashville would have just put out a post, new listing, they might be lucky to get 200. And you did it not with one post. You did it with a ton of effort and a ton of behind the scenes things that led up to it, and building that relationship of likable, trustable. And that takes time. It is an effort. Social media is not a quick game. You can't just expect to succeed on it right away. It takes a lot of sweat and labor to really get to that level. But once you do, your clients have got to be thrilled with that type of exposure on it. And we'll help however we can on our end. We'll put a link to that as well, because I think that is the hallmark of what this is that this is showing what is possible. So I want to wrap up on that. We're a few minutes over on what I promised you. So I want to wrap up on that. Is connect with you on LinkedIn. We'll have a link to that in the show notes. Connect with you, and then check out that listing. Even if you don't need anything in Nashville yourself, maybe you know someone that does, and you could forward that as well. Let's see if we can make this Nashville listing go semi-viral if we can. That'd be awesome.
Let's go. I love it. I love it, man. Yeah.
You're doing all the legwork. Whatever little bit we can add on our end, we're certainly helpful. I'm happy to do that as well. But Sean, I could honestly talk to you for another 2 hours. Like, there's so many different threads we could pull on this, and I appreciate the hour that you took with us on this, because this was fantastic. I think there's so much value that you added in this show. I just truly do want to thank you.
Yeah, well, an honor for me to talk to the GOAT of industrial real estate videos on YouTube, who also likes photography. That's a hyper-focused niche, but you are the GOAT there. This is great, man.
Yeah, thanks, Sean. It's one of these days we'll meet in person. I'm bringing that picture. I want to get it signed, and then we'll get a picture together. So this will be an epic moment for me.
There you go.
Okay, thanks again, Sean. Appreciate it, and we'll certainly be in touch.